Hello, everybody. My name is Alistair Mokoena, Country Director for Google South Africa. We at Google are excited to be celebrating International Small Business Month in June because we are acutely aware of the significant role that SMEs play in growing economies and indeed creating jobs. For example, SMEs across Southern, East, and West Africa contribute about 84% of all local jobs. And this is why, as Google, we've launched a number of economic recovery initiatives focusing specifically on SMEs. But today we'll be discussing the hot topic of content marketing and how this can help SMEs grow and also drive customer engagement and loyalty. To help me dissect this topic, I have with me one of the leading creatives in South Africa, Jeanette Grove. Welcome, Jeanette, and please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thanks, Alistair. Thanks for having me today. This is a really great cause and I'm happy to be here. I work at Grey and I've worked at Grey Africa since 2017. I'm a creative director there and I head up the content and social team, a healthy and happy team of 12 that are very passionate about content marketing and about storytelling and basically telling brands stories online. And that's me.
Fantastic. We continue to see the impact of digital technology on advertising, and thanks to the COVID pandemic, consumers are spending a lot more time on the internet looking for interesting content, and that's why content marketing is so relevant. But Jeanette, talk to me about storytelling and content marketing. How do you define it? What is it?
I think, storytelling transcends everything we do. A good story transcends time and space and platforms. So in essence, if you can get people to stop on your content, when their news feeds are so busy with everything else, the one thing that does that really well is a good story. It's timeless. So I always tell my teams, if you create something that you would give up a cat video for or your cousin's wedding pics to rather watch that, then the brand has done a good job.
Absolutely. And I think, a lot of people will actually agree that storytelling is a lot more memorable than facts and numbers, right?
Definitely. And that's, content marketing sets itself apart from standard advertising because it doesn't really explicitly promote your brand. What it does is it creates interest in your product and interest in your service. And that's what sets it apart. It doesn't feel like, very much call to action orientated, hardcore advertising, buy this, click here. It feels like we are sharing a story with you and we are telling you what sets our product or our service apart from everything else.
Can you share with us some of the content marketing trends you're seeing around the world? Like what are the key attributes? What's making it effective?
So what I've seen quite a lot of, and there are some really great examples globally, is brands building content communities and creating brand advocates rather than just loyalists. There are a lot of products that I'm a loyalist of because I buy them regularly. It doesn't mean I'm an advocate. It doesn't mean I will speak up for the product or share content that the product puts out there. So what brands are trying to do now is making their audience feel like a community and building these communities that have advocates in them. The other things that I've noticed happening globally is, brands experimenting with exploring new channels. I know, TikTok has grown phenomenally fast during COVID. And attending a seminar with them recently, they kept harping on about you're creating TikToks, not ads. So it's a completely new form of content creation. Some more trends I've come across is, collaboration. I think what brands have realized is collaborating with other brands or collaborating with influencers actually amplifies your engagement. And it gives you more than just applause and more than just a like. It actually makes people share your content. And then I guess video will never not be a trend. Funny enough, what we found, locally and regionally is that often a platform like Twitter actually prefers static content, whereas a platform like Facebook and obviously YouTube, it's all about the video. And then speaking of YouTube, another trend is to actually start using YouTube as a channel and less like a social platform.
Okay, fantastic. So if I'm a small business and I'm wanting to adopt content marketing, but I'm limited by a small budget. How do I go about if using it effectively?
The great thing about creating content, and especially now with our smartphones and the cameras that we have access to, is you can do that on a shoestring budget. We're not looking at massive TVC budgets anymore. Everybody's become a content creator. So there are a lot of platforms out there that give you the tools to work with, so that you can start creating your own content. And I think the main thing here is baby steps. Have fun. Focus on telling a story. Don't focus on your brand. It's not a brand push. It's a product push or a service push. And you actually have that power to, even if your product is something quite common, to actually set it apart from other products like it, purely by the power of storytelling.
Jeanette, are you able to share with us one or two examples of brands that are doing this well? Any brand, whether it's on the African continent or sort of a global brand that's using content marketing effectively.
One brand that stands out for me globally on a massive scale is Wendy's, which is a American fast food chain. And what they've actually managed to do is they found their niche audience, which is gamers, the gaming community. And they've managed to entrench themselves by putting Wendy's, the character, into Twitch, into gaming content, into gaming platforms. And what their brand purpose is, and I think as soon as your brand has a purpose online, it's a lot easier to create the content. So what Wendy's brand purpose is make friends first, and then invite them for lunch. So they do this whole thing of entertaining their audience and becoming part of their audience, and only then do they push app downloads. Only then do they push product purchase. So I think Wendy's is a global brand that stands out for me. If we look at a more local phenomenon, Nando's is really excellent at it. Also, and I'm not blowing my own trumpet here, but a brand I work on is Tabasco, and what we've actually managed to do on relatively lean budgets is create stories that not only speak to the heritage of Tabasco, which is American from Louisiana, but also kind of take it in country and make it relevant to us as South Africans by using the right bloggers, the right influencers, food photography, and creating stuff in-house, with our smartphones.
I think a phrase that a lot of people are talking about these days is consumer decision journeys, and maybe just talk to us a little bit about how content marketing can be used, in different parts of the CDJ.
I love a good user journey because I love a good organogram, believe it or not. And what's really fascinating is that user journeys are just no longer linear, if they've ever been that, and it's not a matter of I see something, I buy the thing, and that's it. We take a lot more convincing these days. To get the consumer down the conversion funnel is no longer a very straightforward exercise. I mean, you might be driving on the highway and you might see a billboard. It kind of sticks with you. Then you go online and you see a piece of content and you remember the billboard. You might click through to the website, and if you've got good SEO or a good, Google search kind of campaign running, they might go to the website, drop off. We remarket to them. So it's this whole process that's become very complex. And I think where content marketing really helps is to create that initial awareness of and interest in your product. And once that has happened, it's much easier to get people into the consideration stage of the conversion funnel. And we can eventually convert them and get them to click the buy now button. But I think content marketing kind of woos people into creating that interest, not just in your products or your service, but ultimately your brand.
Sounds to me like there's still quite a bit of truth in the phrase, serve the right content at the right time to the right consumer, right?
Yes. And, we're very fortunate that a lot of platforms have very sophisticated targeting. But what people forget is that every brand has access to that algorithm. Mm-hmm. Every brand has access to that targeting. You're not special. What makes you special is the stories you tell,
Absolutely.
The people you tell it to, and when you tell it to them.
Fantastic. Well, then in conclusion, Jeanette, can I ask you to give us 3 hot tips that SMEs can implement in their business as of next week? What are the 3 things they should do to get the most impact out of content marketing?
So I'm going to be quite boring here, and sensible, but really, honestly, do your housekeeping. Do it first. Make sure you're on the right platforms. Are you meant to be on Twitter? Are you meant to be on Instagram? Do you have a YouTube channel? Figure out where you want to play and where it makes most sense for you to play, and then do your housekeeping. Make sure that your pages are verified, your websites link out, everything is right. Your SEO, for goodness sakes, fix it. Your Google search, set up a Google search campaign. Just do the basics. I think just start. It might seem like this daunting process, but it's actually not. And once your housekeeping is in order, then you can have some fun. So even if in the next week you create one piece of content for one of your platforms or one of your channels, and target it correctly, that's how you start, as baby steps.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thanks very much, Jeanette. It's been fascinating chatting to you. And thank you very much, and good luck to all the SMBs out there, and have a fantastic week. Cheers.
Thanks for having me.